Well, a ruling could come down this year from the Michigan Supreme Court on an old rule meant to protect innocent parties from losing no-fault benefits due to fraud. So in this week's Know the Law segment, attorney Tom Sinas joining us to talk about the case and its potential impact out there as well. It's going on this month, in fact.
That's right. On January 11th, the Michigan Supreme Court heard oral argument in a case called Bozzi versus Sentinel.
Okay.
Now, when you hear about this issue, you might think, well, what the heck is this about and why are we talking about it on TV? But it's a technical issue, but it has real-life implications. So let's wind back to what the old rule used to be before 2016. This whole issue has to do with what happens to people who are collecting no-fault benefits when another person who acquired the policy committed some type of fraud or misrepresentation in getting that policy. So let's use a simple example. Mother and father go to their insurance broker and they get an auto no-fault insurance policy. In the application process, they make, which they shouldn't do, they make misrepresentations about certain things, maybe where the car is going to be garaged or who's going to drive the car.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? Now, the insurance company has always been able to do what's called rescind the policy, to say to the mother and father, you were not truthful in your application, we can take away the policy as to you. But for 30 years, we had a rule that said the children or anybody else who's drawing benefits under that policy who were innocent of the fraud, those children still get, or those innocent people still get to collect the benefits.
Not my fault that my mom and dad made a mistake or lied one way or another.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be children. It could be, you know, your mother who lives with you.
Gotcha.
And you commit fraud in getting the policy, and again, how would she know, right? So these are what we call innocent third parties. They are people who had nothing to do with any fraud in obtaining the policy. And for decades, the rule in Michigan was we protect those innocent third parties because they didn't do anything wrong. Well, in 2016, the Michigan Court of Appeals, in a 2-to-1 decision with one very lengthy dissent, got away with this protection and said it's okay for an insurance company to get rid of benefits even as to innocent third parties.
Anybody pretty much in that policy at all?
Anybody collecting benefits, regardless of whether you had anything to do with the fraud, if the policy is rescinded, you're all out. This is the issue that the Michigan Supreme Court is going to be deciding. And the reason it's so significant is this. You have a year under Michigan law to give notice to the proper insurance company. If you don't give notice within a year, then you'll never be allowed to collect no-fault benefits. Well, suppose it's your mother living with you. She's collecting benefits under a policy that's being paid to her, and after a year goes by, the insurance company rescinds the policy. Well, the mother cannot collect benefits from anyone else because she never gave notice to anyone else because for a long time she thought she had benefits under this policy. So it's a complicated scenario, but what it is doing is it's having the effect of taking benefits away from people who had nothing to do with fraud and potentially leaving a lot of people with no ability to get benefits, which means the only place that they can go to is Medicare and Medicaid.
Okay, so this is being drawn out, being decided on in January. Could take a little longer to make a decision?
Right, so the oral arguments were January 11th. We don't know when we'll get an opinion. I would think sometime within the spring. There's no set rule for this, but it's going to be interesting for sure.
Tricky stuff. As always, Tom, people need to learn more about no-fault or other information. How do they track you down?
They can give us a call, West Michigan, at 616-301-3333. Find us online at www.sinasdramis.com or shoot us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
Great stuff. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Derek.